Today we are making rich, dreamy, decadent chocolate cupcakes. These cupcakes are so easy to put together and have that perfectly soft melt in your mouth texture. And we're going to pair them with the most dreamy chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream. I am beyond excited. Let's do this. So let's start off by combining our dry ingredients. So I've got 2/3 of a cup of flour, 2/3 of a cup of white granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, a half teaspoon of baking soda, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then you just want to whisk that all together. Now we're just going to set this aside, and in a small bowl you're going to combine a 1/2 cup of dark chocolate. You can also use dark chocolate chips, and a 1/3 cup of unflavoured vegetable oil, and you want to melt that in the microwave for about a minute or so until the chocolate is melted, and you want to mix it in well with the oil. You should be left with a silky, liquidy mixture. Now to that we're going to add a 1/4 cup of yogurt or sour cream, whatever you have on hand, 2 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract or essence, and 1 teaspoon of instant coffee powder, and you want to whisk that together. You should end up with this kind of thick mixture. Then to that you're going to add in a 1/3 cup of hot water and give that a good mix so it's incorporated well, and then add the liquid mixture to your dry ingredients. Now the last thing to do is simply give it a good whisk for about, say, 45 seconds or so to activate some of the gluten in our mixture and make sure everything is mixed in well. Just make sure you don't overmix it, otherwise you're going to end up with gooey cupcakes. Now I'm just lining a cupcake tray with some cupcake cases and pouring my batter into them. This is a pretty runny batter, but don't worry, this is exactly the way it should be. I just like using a big spoon to do this. Some people like to use ice cream scoops too, and you basically just want to fill each cupcake case about 2/3 of the way up. If you fill them too high, then they're going to rise and overflow, which we really don't want. Now I'm trying to be neat about this since, you know, we're on camera, but honestly, I usually just make a huge mess when filling in cupcake cases. Now you should get exactly 12 cupcakes. I had to do so many recipe tests to get the perfect amount of batter. Now I'm just giving my tray a little bang to get rid of any large air bubbles. And now these are going to go into the oven at 155 degrees Celsius for about 18 to 20 minutes, or until a toothpick comes out clean. So my cupcakes are out of the oven now, and they've been cooling in the tray for about half an hour or so, and they smell absolutely incredible. Now these cupcakes also have this kind of signature crack on the top, and that's because of that real chocolate that we added in our cake batter. And if you leave them to sit for about half a day or so, they eventually develop that nice shiny cupcake top. I mean, just look how moist this looks. Now I'm just taking these out to completely cool, and in the meantime we are going to make the most delicious chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream to go on top of these cupcakes. So to start off you need 4 egg whites, so I'm just using my hands here to separate the egg yolks from the egg whites. I find using my hands is just the easiest way to do this. If you've never made Swiss meringue buttercream before, then I do have a more in-depth tutorial on this, which I'll post a link to below. Next you want to set up a double boiler or bain-marie. So in a small saucepan bring some water to a simmer and then put a heat-proof bowl on top of that, and then you want to add in 1.5 cups of caster sugar or regular white granulated sugar, and add in your egg whites and use a whisk to mix it in well. You want to keep gently stirring this as the mixture heats up, so you know your mixture is ready when it reaches 75 degrees Celsius, or if you don't have a thermometer then you can rub a little of the mixture between your fingers, and if you can't feel any sugar granules then your mixture is ready. Next, add your warm mixture to a stand mixer and mix it on a high speed until you reach stiff peaks and your mixture has cooled down. This will take about 10 to 15 minutes. It's really important to make sure the bowl you're mixing your meringue is doesn't have any fat residue on it, otherwise your meringue won't whip up properly, so make sure your bowl is washed well before mixing your meringue. Now about halfway through, I like to give my meringue a little mix to make sure everything is whipping up well. Now you know you've reached stiff peaks when you've got these sharp tips which are staying upright as opposed to weeping down, and your meringue should be nice and shiny. Next you want to add 400 grams of room temperature unsalted butter to your meringue. It's really important to make sure your butter is at the right consistency, so it should be firm enough to keep its shape, but soft enough that you can make an indent in it with your fingers. So you want to slowly add small portions of the butter to your meringue with your mixer in a medium speed. It's important not to add too much at once, otherwise you're going to completely deflate your meringue, which we don't want. Now once all your butter is added, give your buttercream a mix and add in your flavouring. So I'm adding in a teaspoon of vanilla and then continue to mix it on a medium speed. It's really common for Swiss meringue buttercream to look like it's curdling, but this is totally normal and you just want to let it do its thing until you end up with a silky smooth buttercream. Now a quick tip to get your buttercream super smooth is to swap your whisk attachment with the paddle attachment and let it mix on a low speed for about 10 minutes, or until your buttercream is super smooth and you can glide your spatula through it. Now for the chocolate version, you need 225 grams of dark chocolate and you want to melt it in the microwave for 20-second bursts at a time, giving it a mix in between each burst until it's fully melted. And then all you need to do is add it to your vanilla buttercream and let it mix on a low speed, giving it a mix about halfway through to make sure it's incorporated well. And that is it, you're left with the most delicious chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream. Now I've got a piping bag here with a 1M star tip on it, and I'm going to go ahead and fill my Swiss meringue buttercream in my piping bag. Now if you're new to this and you've never piped before, I do have some beginner tutorials which I'll post the links to below. Now I'm just doing some basic piping on these cupcakes. I do have a cupcake piping tutorial using the 1M tip which I'll post a link to below. So I've just done a simple rosette on this cupcake. For this next one, I'm just doing a really classic cupcake swirl. I think this is one of my favorites. For this next one, I'm doing a classic cupcake swirl too, but just going a little bit slower and applying a little more pressure, which gives you more of a ruffle effect. And for this last one, I'm doing a cute ruffle on the top, so just apply a little pressure and then quickly go up and down. So I've piped a few different designs here and now it's time for the best part, which is taste testing. Honestly, these are like so soft. Oh my god. I'm gonna try and be a bit neater about this. Here we go, that should be better. My gosh. These are just like so soft and moist and full of flavor. And that buttercream, if you don't like chocolate cupcakes, I promise you, you are going to like this chocolate cupcake. So that is it guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you did. Apart from that, I'll see you in the next one.